For the best soul food in the Mid-South, it's Shop and Save. 1499 South 3rd, 901-946-4303. Serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And some of the items on their menu consist of catfish, spaghetti, chicken and dressing, turkey wings, meatloaf, fried chicken, cabbage, yams, greens, salmon croquette, and the list goes on. Some of the best soul food you ever taste in the Mid-South, it is Shop and Save. 1499 South 3rd. Call them again at 901-946-4303. Been in business since 1991. Shop and Save, 1499 South 3rd, 901-946-4303 for some of the best soul food you'll ever taste.
I watch y'all coming here for years, because you shot somebody. Now your life is shot. You gonna pick that phone up one day, and that girl gonna be done dumped you and raise your child with another man. Or maybe your mama or your grandmama dies. Because ain't nothing you can do about it. You got 15 to 20 years, state or fed time. Real talk. Don't lose your head, use your head, man. Gun crime, max time.
This pandemic has hit us hard, but Tennesseans don't stay down for long. We're known for our resilience, and we refuse to back down from a challenge. This challenge is no different. You might be out of work, but there's an opportunity waiting for you. We need you to roll up your sleeves and join our workforce. Right now, thousands of jobs are ready to be filled. Find them at jobsfortn.gov. Let's get to work, Tennessee.
It's not about challenging times
or new normals.
It's about staying true to what matters most.
And we're more committed than ever to your health.
Your safety has always been our top priority.
Times may have changed,
but they haven't changed who we are.
We're here for you every single day.
It's just a few cocktails at happy hour.
It's just a few cocktails at happy hour.
Really good try.
There aren't any cops around.
Didn't think there were any cops around. I drink and drive all the time.
Sir, you've been in a serious crash. I need you to hang on, okay? Now.
If you're scheduling a wedding, a funeral, birthday party, appreciation service, or any other special event, then you'll probably need an experienced singer. Rose Prince has been singing in church choirs since the age of 8. Rose has been in very prestigious choirs where she has been selected to sing lead and on praise and worship teams. Rose has also been enrolled in institutional voice lessons. Book a local singer with a wide vocal range and with a voice as beautiful as a rose. Call Rose Prince at 405-468-4953. That's Rose Prince at 405-468-4953 for your special events. For the best soul food in the Mid-South, it's Shop and Save. 1499 South 3rd, 901-946-4303. Serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And some of the items on their menu consist of catfish, spaghetti, chicken and dressing, turkey wings, meatloaf, fried chicken, cabbage, yams, greens, salmon croquette, and the list goes on. some of the best soul food you ever taste in the Mid-South? It is Shop and Save. 1499 South 3rd. Call them again at 901-946-4303. Been in business since 1991. Shop and Save. 1499 South 3rd. 901-946-4303 for some of the best soul food you'll ever taste.
I watch y'all coming here for years, cause you shot somebody. Now your life is shot. You gonna pick that phone up one day, and that girl gonna be done dumped you and raise your child with another man. Or maybe your mama or your grandmama dies. Cause ain't nothing you can do about it. You got 15 to 20 years, state or fed time. Real talk. Don't lose your head, use your head, man. Gun crime, max time.
This pandemic has hit us hard, but Tennesseans don't stay down for long. We're known for our resilience, and we refuse to back down from a challenge. This challenge is no different. You might be out of work, but there's an opportunity waiting for you. We need you to roll up your sleeves and join our workforce. Right now, thousands of jobs are ready to be filled. Find them at jobsfortn.gov. Let's get to work, Tennessee.
And a little more volume. And good afternoon, and welcome to Talk Back Live in the afternoon or the evening, whatever it is to you. It's a Saturday and a beautiful day to start your day on our show. What is this evening? Well, it's hot. It's been hot for the past, 2 weeks? Man, it's cooled off a little bit in certain days, couple of days, but yet it's back up again today. I think the temperature reached 101 degrees today, but yet nonetheless, hopefully all of you are staying cool and on the inside. And hey, it's a beautiful day to be alive, and thank God for another day. And welcome to the show, Talk Back Live with Bob
and Josh.
And hey, we're going to talk about some things today. We have a special guest on the line that's going to be talking with us for a couple of minutes here to this afternoon. He has some things to share with us. And folks, the number to call is 901-213-6020. Again, the number to call is 901-213-6020. And let somebody else know. Give them a call. Say, hey, Talk Back Live with Bob and Josh and Saturday is on the air. And you're welcome to call in and leave your comments as well. And if we get to your comments, we'll be glad to read your comments. Good afternoon, Josh.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, Bob. Good afternoon. Well, evening now. This is straight up evening right now.
Yeah, straight up.
Shout out to everybody out there watching, listening, wherever you may be. However you may be checking us out today, man. Y'all know, as you see in the title, we've got to get into it. So y'all stay tuned, man. It's going to be a great conversation. Looking forward to it. Getting all you guys' thoughts as well. Got some stuff to play. Got guests as well. It's going to be joining us in a minute. So definitely y'all stick and stay. Also, real quick, if you're watching, go ahead and hit that like button. I know some of y'all are about to do so if you haven't already. Hit the like button for the algorithm of Facebook for people to be able to join in as well. Also, share the video if you like as well for people to get joined in on the conversation. Also, check out our Facebook page, Talk Back Live with Bob and Josh. Like that page. Follow it as well. I know Facebook's kind of updating with the likes and follows, I've noticed. But hit the follow button as well as we approach 2,000 on one of our Facebook pages as well. Follow us on YouTube, Talk Back Live Network on YouTube as well. And follow us on Twitter at Talk Back Live. That's one word, at Talk Back Live. So we got the guests ready. I think, is it plugged in, Bob?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So we're going to get into it and we can get right to him. We should be able to hear him.
All right. Let's
go straight to him. I want to make sure I can hear him. Yeah. Go ahead.
All right. Joseph Jackson, Joseph Jackson from Washington, D.C. is our special guest this afternoon. Bishop Jackson?
Yes, sir. I'm listening.
Yes, sir. How you doing today?
I'm fine, man. It's hot in D.C. just like it's hot everywhere. Go ahead.
And I just want to make sure because doing this live, you can hear me well.
I can hear you very well.
Awesome,
okay.
Awesome.
All right.
So we're good.
We're hearing you pretty good as well.
Yes.
Yeah, man, it is hot everywhere, it seems like. And but man, I tell you what, expecting some cool down here next week, they tell us, and looking forward to that. Bishop, we got some things to talk about today, as always. Josh,
yes.
The question that I had put out on Facebook, it was a picture,
and I'm a lead up to what you're saying.
Yeah,
just to alley oop to you. So as we know, the history's been made. That happened a few days ago.
50 years.
50 years in the making. Well, 50 years since it happened, actually.
Yeah.
1973 Roe versus Wade has been overturned. And this is something that's shocking to a lot of people, even those that were fighting for that to happen. Were not expected, even though, honestly, a couple of months ago when it leaked that this was probably going to happen.
It's been a couple of months?
Yeah, shockingly.
Okay.
Wow. I was really surprised to hear that, but I saw on the news it's been a couple of months. But now that it's at this point, it's done. And because of that, people are wondering, what does this mean for Christians? What does this mean for people that support abortion, that want abortion? What does this mean to people that don't want abortion?
Right.
What does it mean for everybody, essentially?
Yeah, this is what we want to know. What does it mean to you?
Yeah, exactly.
What does it mean to your neighbor? What does it mean to a friend of yours? What does it mean to anybody that you know?
Yeah.
What does this mean? Are you surprised? Are you happy? Are you disappointed? Do you agree? You disagree? And let me tell you something. As long as we're on this earth, we're going to agree and we're going to disagree on things forever. So don't take it like, okay, well, they disagree or they agree or she disagrees or she agree. It doesn't mean that, okay, they're not your friends anymore or they're not there for you anymore. It doesn't mean that. It's just that two people cannot agree on everything. And I want to get that down as we go. And it doesn't mean that, hey, because you agree that way, that you're not saved. It does if you're born again, if you're a child of God or whatever. It doesn't mean that you become, or whatever because you agree or disagree with someone. It's just one of those things. We agree and we disagree. And it's just the like and the differences of people's opinion.
Absolutely. And before we get to the bishop, if we can, if you want to.
Yeah.
Now I have this clip of the news clip of essentially what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can come back and get right into
when it first happened.
Yeah,
when it first broke on the news.
Mm-hmm.
And our guest is able to listen to this as well.
So
we can get his opinion on this and your opinion as well. 901-213-6020 phone line is open, and you're welcome to leave your opinion on Facebook as well. All right, Josh.
Yes, sir. All right, let's go to it.
Mm-hmm.
And here it is via NBC News.
We have just received word of a decision in one of the most consequential cases before the Supreme Court in decades. The justices have reached a final ruling on the Mississippi abortion law that prohibits nearly all abortions after 15 weeks and directly challenges Roe v. Wade. Let's go right to NBC News Justice correspondent Pete Williams. Pete.
Lester, in this historic decision, the Supreme Court has now overturned Roe v. Wade and the follow-on case called Casey, in which the abortion right was made nationwide. Those two rulings stood for the proposition that states could not ban abortion before the age of viability. They could restrict it during that period up to about 23 weeks, but they couldn't ban it. Now the Supreme Court has taken that guarantee away. Lester, this is the first time the Supreme Court has ever granted a constitutional right, which it did so when Roe was decided in 1973, and then took it away, a popular right that was widely recognized. So the immediate effect of this will be to uphold a Mississippi law that would ban abortion after 15 weeks. But this also now means that in roughly half the country, abortion is, as of now or soon will be, illegal. 13 states have what are called trigger laws that were intended to make abortion illegal in those states once the Supreme Court reached this decision. In a few of those states, the law takes effect immediately, and some they have to wait for the state attorney general to certify that this is what the Supreme Court has done. That's 13 states in which abortion will shortly be illegal. And in the rest of the, up to about half the states, they are expected soon to make it illegal. So we're about to become a divided country, Lester, where abortion is legal in about half the states, illegal in half the states. This is a 6-3 decision. It's written by Samuel Alito. We haven't had a chance to track it yet, but you may recall that Justice Alito was the author of the draft opinion that leaked in May that suggested that the Supreme Court was going to overturn Roe v. Wade. But Lester, I have to say this is not, while it is certainly going to be surprising to some, pleasing to others that have worked for this day for many years, it can't be too much of a surprise for three reasons. First of all, the fact that the court agreed to take this case in the first place. This was a decision from lower courts that said, no, you can't strike down abortion that early because it would go against Supreme Court precedents. There was no division among the circuit courts. So why did the Supreme Court take it? The logical conclusion has to be that they took it to overturn Roe. Secondly, what they did in the Texas case when they allowed the Texas law to go into effect that would restrict abortion. And third, the comments that the justices made when the Roe v. Wade case was argued. So Supreme Court overturning Roe. This is one of the most significant historic decisions in modern times, Lester. And now it means that abortion is no longer the law of the land. It's up to the states, and it's about to become illegal in about half of them, Lester.
and yeah, a little more. There it is. And what do you think about that? NBC News reporting that. Let's go to our special guest now, Bishop Joseph Jackson, and we're glad to have him on today, as always. He's been on our show before, and so welcome to the show, Bishop.
Thank you, sir. Listen, you put me right in the midst of this foray, and I just didn't want to be bothered with it right now, but because you did it, I got to do what the Lord says to do. Listen, I was told years ago by one of my pastors who was a mentor. He said, one thing you must always remember is you cannot legislate morality.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to live it.
Okay.
You can't legislate it. We used to sing a song that said, "This is my Father's world." And if it's his world, he set it up so that his thoughts rule the way we function. And we either will live up to what he has asked us to do, or we will exercise our free will and not do so. But if we do that, then we must be prepared for the consequences. Now, I'm going to say one thing right now that's everybody is not going to like. The Bible says, and I have to go with the word, there is a way that seemeth right to every man, but the end thereof is death. And so, I'm going to go to another one. Just 2 Timothy, the 4th chapter, the 3rd verse. It says, for time is coming when people will no longer listen to sound and wholesome teaching. They will follow their own desires and will look for teachers who will tell them whatever their itching ears want to hear. And the last scripture I'm going to give you is where I have to come from. Isaiah 58:1. Mm-hmm. It said, cry loud, spare not, lift up your voice like a trumpet, and show my people their transgressions and the house of Jacob their sins. And with that in mind, all I can simply say is life begins at conception. There's no way to get around it. When you look at when Jesus was coming into the world, the Bible said he was conceived by the Holy Ghost. And the Bible says she was with child. At the moment of conception, she was with child. Now, you have the right through, shall we say, free will to do whatever you want to do. Mm-hmm. But no, you've got to pay the consequence for your action. Mm-hmm. That child has a right to live. You laid down and you did what you did. Now, if it's because of incest, if it's because somebody was raped, that's something that you have to talk with God about. But the fact is, if you just laid down and had a wonderful night of good sex or whatever sex you had, the fact is, you got caught because the Bible says, be careful, your sin will find you out. My grandmother told me something, and I'm going to give it back to you. My grandmother told me something when I was a youth. She said, you know what? You sneaky as hell. She said, you make everybody think that you're Mr. Goody Goody, but I know better. She said, don't bring no illegitimate babies in this house. This was a sanctified woman who said, there's a way to do wrong right. There's a way to do wrong right. Cover yourself up, protect her, and protect yourself, and don't bring no babies in there.
If you're gonna do it, if you're gonna do it, if you fall or you make a mistake and you end up, don't just do it unprotected. Do something with yourself so that so that a child is not conceived.
That's what you have to do. That's what my grandmother told me.
But we're not encouraging that, Bishop. But at the same time, people have to understand people live in the flesh, but we're not encouraging that. But we're saying in case this is the situation, have yourself prepared.
No, that's true, because fornication is sin. The Bible says fornication is sin.
Yeah.
But the fact is, black folk been having sex since the beginning of time. You can say whatever you want to say. They're going to do what they want to do. But if you do it, you're going to find yourself in a world that you're going to have consequences to have to deal with. Are you prepared to do that?
So by Roe versus Wade being overturned, what does that say to people, why people are rejecting or in disagreement with it here? Why are they in so uproar in disagreement about it? And most people are saying this is taking the right of a person to decide about their own body, a woman about her own body. What do we say about that?
They're speaking to their flesh. They're speaking to their flesh. Your flesh says this is what you want, and because you have to deal with the consequences of the action, you don't want to deal with it. But your flesh is speaking, and you got to put your flesh under subjection. That's what the book says. You go back to the scripture in 2 Timothy, the 3rd chapter, when it turns around and talks about the ladies. The ladies, excuse me for this, but the Bible calls you a silly woman. If you're an individual, and you go read it for yourself. If you're an individual that allows these young guys to come, or old guys, whoever they are, and speak sweet nothings in your ear and cause you to lay down with them because you said you have an itch that needed to be scratched, now you got to deal with the consequences of that scratch being itched, of that itch being scratched. You got the consequences that's going to hang with you for 18 years or more. If you don't put yourself under subjection. The book said there's a way that seems right to every man, but the end thereof is a deadly manner. You're going to deal with a consequence, and we don't teach that anymore. Consequences come from your behavior.
So this is why a lot of people are upset about the law, Roe versus Wade, being overturned. Is it because they can't have sex as they want, and they use this as a way of contraception? Just have sex, and if a woman conceives, take the morning after pill, or just go get an abortion, get rid of it. And just keep swinging on.
You see, I think another thing people don't also realize, I was just sitting here thinking about something. We've killed more babies through abortion than the old people in the Old Testament did by throwing their children to the fire god Moloch. They sacrificed their children for nothing. And we've done the same thing for a moment of pleasure. And whether you realize it or not, I was reading something the other day where God told Asa, I judge the world. The reason why Asa, you've got some conditions is because the people failed to follow me. And because they failed to follow me, I allowed inflation to come. I allowed heartaches and trials and tribulations to come. America is under judgment. She's under judgment right now. Because not only of this Roe versus Wade crap, but because of the racism and all the other things that this nation was built upon. And until we do what Solomon said, if my people, which are called by my name, would humble themselves and pray and seek my face, turn from their wicked ways, he said, then I'll hear from heaven and heal the land. This land is not going to be healed till we get our acts together.
Joseph Jackson, Bishop Joseph Jackson out of Washington, D.C. is our guest. And man, I tell you, there are people that are right now, like I said, they're angry, they're upset about Roe versus Wade being overturned. And they blame, a lot of people are angry with Clarence Thomas. Do you know anything about Clarence Thomas?
I know a lot about him, but the fact is, don't just blame Clarence Thomas. You need to look at Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell stopped 2 Democratic presidents from from having their rightful opportunity to nominate 2 judges.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
he helped to stack the court. So don't just look at Thomas. Look at the whole system. You got corrupt people everywhere.
You know.
Okay.
And now,
go ahead, Jack.
I'm going to throw this out there now. One of the things I've been thinking about when I see this whole issue, and I think differently than a lot of people I know on this. You know, people I've known for a long time and all that think complete opposite of the way I think, especially my generation. Where I'm in the late 20s. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like this. I don't have a problem with the Roe versus Wade overturning, because, and people are comparing it to all sorts of things, right? People comparing it to, I saw Bob showed me this. They said the gun has more rights than women, and things of that nature, that men aren't allowed. And one thing I hear, and this, I'm addressing a lot of this head on, men, a lot of the thing I don't like, and y'all can say what you want about it. They say men don't have a right to an opinion on this issue. There's two reasons I've always disagreed with that. One, there's a man involved in the situation. It's kind of a 50-50 situation. I think a man is involved in a baby's process of becoming one, right?
Right.
It's a sperm and egg. So I think the man is involved to some degree.
Right.
At least halfway, right?
Seed of the man. That's the only way it can happen.
Yeah. That's just biology.
We're just being plain here.
So, and that's just number one. And number two, it's not just the woman's body. It's the body of the baby. The woman has a responsibility, as well as the man that helped conceive the baby, but the woman is carrying the child. There's a huge difference. You're carrying a living being.
But most people, most people don't think that's a living being.
I want to finish the statement completely, so I won't forget my thought. So my thing is, I am against not allowing a life to live. Period. Now, we look at rape, we look at incest, we look at health reasons. All are debatable situations. And never are we going to sit there and just throw a fist at people that have been through those situations.
Right.
That's not what we're doing.
Right. We're not against.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah. So, but y'all know. But here's the thing. That is, and it's been proven by every study in the world that you can look at, less than 4% of all abortions fall in that category. So I think the people need to ask themselves, when you look at CNN, when you look at things of that nature, I'm not making this political because you know how much I've criticized the Republican Party for different things on this show and on this platform for years. But I'm not politically biased in either direction. You have to wonder, when you see Joe Biden, when you see Maxine Waters and folks like that, I know I sound like a right-wing pundit, but this is just me that is balanced.
They're very angry right now.
Let me. I want to say. I got to say what I'm saying. Yeah, just from me, not nobody else. I have a problem with the deceptive tactics when you act like these situations are the majority of abortions that are happening when they're not. You know what I'm saying? All you see are the rape and incest, and not saying those situations don't matter. But when you look at a lot of states, there are not laws restricting abortions in those cases in most of these states. There's still plenty of states where it is allowed. So to act like this is an extreme disaster for women, I believe is a clear tactic to stir up hysteria and a clear dysphoria, if you want to say that, in the country, and a panic. They're trying to take everything from you. They're even trying to say this could lead to stripping the rights of Black people in this country. I cannot equate the life of a human being to that. The reason why this is more acceptable to me is because you're killing somebody. And you can make laws. This isn't about legislating morality when it comes to legislating the Bible. It's not like we're making the law saying if you don't read your Bible and pray 3 times a day, you're going to jail. No. You're making it illegal to kill a baby that you were responsible for making, that you, as the woman, were responsible to keep from happening, to not do the act that you did, as well as the man that's involved. Another thing, I don't like the fact that men want to say, well, it's not up to me, it's up to the woman. No, it's up to both of y'all. Because you were involved in the process. If you're the man, you got to shoot something up in there in order for the baby to exist. So yes, you better believe me as the man, I'm going to be involved in that decision.
But it's the woman's body.
But the baby is a combination of both. It's how DNA works. It's how biology works. So again, people ain't going to like this. I know people that's watching are not going to like this. But these are facts, period. And I am not for using abortion as a tactic of birth control. To me, it is lazy and irresponsible of women to use it that way. And the reason so many are protesting is because they don't like the fact that they can't do what they want to do anymore. The reason why a lot of men are protesting because they can't do anything they want to do anymore. They like the fact that women like abortion. You know why? Because they don't want to be fathers anyway. As you can see with the many examples of single mothers out there.
Yeah.
The ones that were slept with these guys, and these guys turned out to be deadbeats. Now these women are left in these situations. You know what I mean? With being a single mother and having to raise children themselves. Why do you think so many men are for abortion? That's why. Because they ain't got to deal with child support anymore. They ain't got to deal with that child, the responsibility of having sex and dealing with a baby anymore. And frankly, that's just not true. The majority of women do not use abortion as birth control. I just can't. That's not true. Now, I know there's a percentage that has to do with the, and you have to look up the stats for yourself, Frankie, because I have for days, because I want to make sure I'm right on this. I'm not about being harsh toward anybody, but we just need to be real at the same time. So, look.
Okay,
let
me say this. If they're not using that as birth control, then why are they so angry? If it's not that, because we agree, and it does cover the fact that incest and rape and all that other stuff is covered under this. So that's an exception. So if that's an exception, we already agree on that. But don't mean we may agree with, some people may not agree with it totally on that. But for the most part, most people would agree on that and understand that. Let's put it that way. So why are people still angry about it being, it's controlling a woman's body? Now, see, here's the thing too. You got to understand, it's not your body. First of all, the Bible says you're not your own. You have been bought with a price. Therefore, glorify God in your body and your spirit, which belongs to God. Your body belongs to God. So you can't do anything with it because it's God's body. And so just because, well, I can do what I want to do, you can't just, that's murder. Let's be frank about it. Some people say, well, no, that's just getting rid of a child that you don't want, or that's just a fetus. It's not a child yet until it's born, or until it gets to a certain month. No, it is a child. It's a seed that is now beginning the process of growing. When you put corn in the ground, you put the seed in and it produces itself as a corn, but it has to grow. It's a process of growing. And so that's what the seed is. And Bishop, I'm sorry, Bishop is still there. We just talking and going on. Bishop.
And look, and I'll say this, Frankie.
Yeah.
And because I have seen that some states don't have that covered, rape and incest. Now, I don't agree with that. Now, and what I'm saying is, if that is true, that there are states that don't, and I have seen that some that don't cover that.
Right.
I do think that needs to be revisited, just point blank, because I don't think that should be legislated. To that degree.
And even some women that are in the state that has that law, then some of those women, do they have the right to decide, even if they were raped, to keep the child? To bear the child and to have the child. There are some women, even though they were raped, they've had children, and even though say, well, I'm not going to kill the child, I'm just going to go ahead and have the child. Is that a good thing, or is it a bad thing?
Let me chime in on this one, because it's interesting that you just went there, because all you have to do is look at Israel Houghton, one of the greatest gospel performers that we have in the nation today. Israel was a product of rape. And his mother's family wanted the mother to abort the child. She did not do that. And Israel came forward, and Israel today is one of the greatest gospel musicians that the world has ever seen. My question goes back to people then. Look at this. I said, Remember Jeremiah.
Mhm.
God told Jeremiah, I knew you before
Yes.
your mom and dad came together. I
Right.
knew you were coming. Then in
Before he
Jeremiah
formed,
29,
before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Yeah.
he knew it. And then he turned around in Jeremiah 29 and 11 said, I knew you, but guess what? He said, I have, I've got a plan to bring you to a desired end. How do you know what God has in store for these kids?
Right.
The question is, why are you murdering them? Because you have now become a murderer. Thou shalt not kill. You become a murderer simply because you don't want to take on the responsibilities. Give me the child. You know, like I had to tell a niece of mine we talked about this a little earlier, who became pregnant out of wedlock. If you don't think that you can take the child, give the child to me.
That's commendable.
I'll raise the child.
Yeah.
I'll bring the child up. What they used to do when I'll be 76 in August. What they used to do is you made a mistake, they would send you down south. They would tell us that you were going to school or that you were going to help one of your relatives who was sick, but you went there and had that baby. You left that baby with that relative. That baby now knew that relative as the mother, and you became the aunt. But the fact was that baby lived.
That's it. And you know, and one thing, and I see Stanley. Like I said, I welcome all comments, agreeing or disagreeing. That's what the discussion's about. But as far as me, I disagree. And as Stanley says, I'm disagreeing with Stanley, Bishop, by the way. Stanley on the comment says that decision made women livestock.
That decision made women livestock.
I don't really understand. Well, look, here's the thing.
Now, if you're going to make a statement like that and we don't understand, we ask that you call us and explain yourself, because making a little statement like that, I mean, you know, and then not explaining it, what you're trying to say, I mean, that's, to me, is irrelevant. It is not useful, and is you know, it's not bringing out what you're really saying.
Yeah. Now
people need to really hear what you're trying to say, and rather than just typing 4 or 5 words and then running. It's like tucking your tail and running. You know, but I mean, you know, on this case, if you're really serious, explain yourself where people can understand you. That's why we have the phone lines open, where you can call and talk to us. It's not like we're distant and we're not accepting and not making a way where you can explain yourself. All right, go ahead, Josh. I'm sorry.
And again, to me, I think we really need to be really got to think things through. People that have had kids and things of that nature, I really feel, you know, should understand to some degree about what I'm saying. But you know, let's look at it this way. I've seen an argument a lot on Facebook. Why should a woman be forced to have a child with a man that's proven that he's a deadbeat? You know what I'm saying? Now, here's what I'm saying. And folks ain't gonna like this. Were you forced to have sex with said loser? Unprotected? No. Now, that's just a fact. That's number one. Now,
another question: was she forced to have sex before marriage?
Yeah, it's on the same. Yeah, same.
No, she wasn't.
So what I'm saying is, to that fact too, are you then blaming the baby? Because the man isn't getting any punishment from the baby. If he's a deadbeat, he don't care that you're aborting the baby. Matter of fact, he's probably happy. You know why? He didn't have to pay no child support.
No responsibility.
There's no responsibility. So he is fine. He's going to take off and continue to be deadbeats, continue to have unprotected sex with women all over the place, because they're probably going to get abortions too. So he can continue to do what he's doing. Think about what you're enabling. And I don't think women are thinking that through also. That's just a fact again. So again, it's not just women that's being affected. You look at the deadbeat men that people are saying this is supposedly holding accountable. It ain't holding nobody accountable. You're not holding these guys accountable. They're just running around like, as a guy, you're just like, hey, I'm gonna get in, get out. I'm gonna give her this pill, or she gonna go do whatever she gonna do, some other procedure, and I could just continue to swing it like a helicopter. I mean, Come on now. Really? I don't think common sense is winning because emotions, you're letting yourself get emotionally caught up in the lies that is being spread by certain people that want you to believe it. Now, why are all these abortion clinics in black communities? Why are there so many more black kids being aborted?
Give the bishop a chance here. let the bishop come in here and.
I'm sorry, I'm passionate.
He's passionate, but keep that in your
I don't mean to
thought,
talk
Bishop.
so much,
any explanation on what we're talking about here? Just.
I'm sorry. Say that again, Bishop.
Any explanation or any comments on what Joshua just said? He talked about there.
No, I'm kind of no right now. I'm just listening to what you guys are saying because I'm processing what you're saying.
Yes, sir. I know I'm saying a lot. I not to drown you out. You know, it's just real passionate about truth. You know what I'm saying, and us really needing to see what is what when it comes to an issue like this. And I've always been passionate about it. Haven't always, directly, put out my full opinion on it because I know it's going to start a firestorm like Bob did earlier. We can even talk about that post, which basically you praising the decision that's made. And look, I'm gonna say this also on the other end.
And a lot of people were knocking me down as I praised that decision that was made.
But
I'm gonna tell you this. I had a lot of bishops, BISHOP, said, one lady was on here and said it is the right of the woman what she do with her body. And the bishop came on and said, I agree. It is the right of what she do with her body. Now, is that right?
Well,
let's think about this now. Is not her body? It belongs to God. Now, the thing about it is it more concerned about the child that is conceived here, or is it she's laid down with the guy now? Hey, keep me from being ashamed. And I don't want to, I'm not ready for children yet. So I'm going to go ahead and abort this child. That's murder. Go ahead. Bishop, you're going to say something.
What I was thinking of was this. I mean, how can I put this? You said something that's interesting. The Bible says that our bodies are the temple of the Holy Ghost. But the question is, doesn't that just refer to those of us who know Christ?
That refers to us who know Christ, but at the Creator, who made us? Who made us?
Granted, but my thing about it is, you always have to factor in the fact that there's free will.
There's free will. There's free will. There's free will. But okay, now I'm glad you went there. It's free will to be able to go to Burger King or McDonald's. It's free will to be able to go to Interstate or the back road. It's free will to go to Walmart or go to Fresh Dollar Store. Now, you have your choice. Now, to say, okay, I'm going to get rid of a baby that's in my womb, do I really have the free will? I have free will to do it, but what are the consequences? Are there any consequences when I make that free will?
And that's what I was about to say, because free will comes into play even in salvation. The Bible says it was not God's will that any man should perish, but that all should come to the knowledge.
Whoa. Say that again now. Say that again. Which not that what?
It was not. What are you saying? What I was saying was, God said it was not his desire that any man should perish, but that all should come to the knowledge of who Christ is. Yeah. But the fact is, you have the free will to make the choice to walk with him or not. Now, if you don't walk with him, you got to deal with the consequences, which is damnation and hell.
Now, does that get them out of the point that, okay, they were talking to save people here in where it talked about you're not your own? Does somebody, if they're not saved, does that excuse them from the fact that it's okay to have an abortion?
The fact is that if they do exercise their free will, they have now committed murder. And the murder concept and the murder factor is now going to be something that they're going to have to deal with.
You mean it's the same thing, Bishop? You mean telling me it's the same thing as a person choosing to pick up a gun and shoot somebody and kill them?
You killed them, didn't you? You took their life.
Okay. All right.
You took their life. And you're going to pay the consequence for it. The wages of sin is death. You're going to pay the consequence. And we don't teach that anymore. You know, the one thing that I love about my late father was he taught me a lesson. He said, you know, son, you'd have been older than you are if your mother had acted right. I said, whoa, that's too much information. But the Holy Ghost said, no, he's teaching you something. And you're going to give that out later on in life. And I see that it's been happening throughout my lifetime. My father said, so I said, okay, tell me the story. He said, I saw your mother. She was a gorgeous woman. And he said, I was used to having my way with women. All I had to do was talk to them. I was the Donald Trump of my era. I could just touch them and do whatever I had to do, and they would fall and get whatever I wanted.
Wow.
He said, I was after your mother for that purpose. It wasn't no marriage concept. I wanted her sexually. He said, I wined her. I dined her. I took her out. I did everything I knew. And that girl would not come across. He said, one day we were having dinner. And while we were sitting at the dinner table, she looked across at me and said, Jimmy, I got something to tell you. He said, Ruth, what is it? She said, I'm a nun. My father looked at her and said, Ruth, you're not Catholic. She said, no, you don't understand. You get none. She said,
oh, come on, Bishop.
If you can't promise me a ring, if you can't give me your name and give me a commitment and want to have a family, you need to go find somebody else. I have a concept of who I am and what I want. And he said, Joe, I had to marry that girl. He said, I was just ready to go into the military, but I knew that there were other folks that were looking at her. I married her, and the fact is he lived with that woman for 45 years, and when she died, suddenly he wanted to die with her.
Wow.
All because she told him, I value myself. And that's what I wish a lot of our young ladies would do. Look at these fellas who are talking to them. Most of them ain't got nothing. They just want to use you. I'm gonna be polite. They want to use you as a receptacle, rather than using some toilet tissue or napkin.
And see, as much as
that's all you become to them, as a depository.
Yes, sir.
So the question is, what do you think about yourself?
Yes, sir. And I think a lot of people don't even look at the abortion issue and how it affects what we're talking about. You know, people always talk about, and rightfully so, about women getting taken advantage of by men in different situations. Absentee fathers, which is an epidemic in the Black community for a long time, and even other communities as well. And all of that, but don't realize how abortion, in a backdoor way, really a front door way, plays a part in this entire thing of personal responsibility, because it's also responsibility for the man as well as the woman. So I think it's almost a selfish way of thinking to think it's just the woman that's being affected by this whole situation. There's also situations where I'm sure that there's guys that want the baby and the women don't, but the men feel like they don't have a right to speak because, and I've heard this. Just real quick, that even if it's a mutual thing, that the men feel like they don't have a right to speak, and even if it is outside of marriage, and the guy's like, okay, this is something that's happened, and well,
that's her body.
Hear what I'm saying? That they feel like, okay, maybe we need to go through with it, but he's like, well, it's hers, just like you said, so I really can't say anything. No, it's both of y'all, and y'all ain't gonna like that either, but it is. Now, ultimately, you can't force her to do it.
Right.
Like physically. You can't do that.
Right.
So, you know, it is up to her. But at the
Or
same time,
abuse or whatever the
to
case,
say
yeah.
that you don't have a say in the conversation is a lie.
Well, that's, and like you said, Josh, that's a way that some men use to just not be responsible.
Yeah, to shirk responsibility.
And so the woman here says, okay, well, I don't want the child either, and I don't want to marry you, but it's just a one night stand we can have. And so this is why some women are upset with the thing about the Roe versus Wade. Now they can't do their thing when they want to do it. They said it's taking too much away from them.
In some states, yeah.
Yeah, in some states, this is what it's doing. If
Okay, guys, let me pass a little bit of information on to you, because living in D.C., I have access to stuff that maybe you guys don't have, because
Okay.
I have friends that work in high places.
Yes, sir.
One of the things that got back to me was this. Many times they thought that because they had the abortion in place, it was really to diminish the amount of blacks and Hispanics that were being born.
Yeah,
I was going to get to that, Bishop. Yeah,
whoa.
Yeah, go ahead.
Wait a minute, but it has backfired on them.
Mm-hmm.
The white population is now diminishing to the point that they're going to be the minorities in this country.
I've heard that.
And because of that factor, the powers that be are upset. And so they've overturned this in order to turn this thing around.
Mm-hmm.
There's more to play than this. There's more to play than this than folks really know.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so they've overturned this so that more blacks can be born?
Well, I think
more whites can be born.
Okay.
Because the white population is diminishing faster than the black and Hispanics. And they realize that blacks and Hispanics are going to outnumber them. And if they outnumber them, they can vote them out of office and take over positions that they now have. They're trying to hold on to power.
Okay, then because of that, so black women should be allowed to have more abortions.
There you go.
Well, I don't know. Well,
I don't know about that. So that's still murder, though, Bishop.
What, black women or what?
I mean, black women should
he's
be
not
able
saying
to have more abortions.
No.
Okay.
No. The thing about it is they don't want. Well, what you're saying is, I don't know how they're working it out. I don't know how they work. All they're trying to do is even the play field right now, because they discovered that white children are not being born as fast as black and Hispanic children are being born.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, but I'm gonna tell you this, at least in my opinion. Now, I have heard that too. I've heard people talk about that, and to me, it's interesting because I kind of get it and I kind of don't. But I do agree that there are some white folks, because some white folks even talked about it publicly, that, hey, they scared about how the population's looking. A lot of blacks and Latinos having way more babies than them. And then on top of that, you got black men getting with white women, and those white babies are now black babies. And so I'm saying, so it's gotta overcome it in that way. But I'm like this. Still, to me, over the years, the black community, you can't deny, has been disproportionately targeted to some degree by the abortions, by abortion clinics, by black people being in poverty situations. And more people in poverty situations get abortions because they feel they can't afford a baby.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So all of that is also there. And to me, at least, I'm a little wary. Like I see, again, Maxine Waters, folks like that. And I don't want to sound like I'm being political, dude, but it stood out to me when I saw it yesterday before my own eyes. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, this is going to hurt black women because of this Roe versus Wade overturning. I just don't get that. How is it going to hurt black women, unless, that are, so you want them to keep having abortions
and killing babies?
You know what I'm saying? So I don't understand how it's going to hurt. Not saying it helps, but I don't know. But
I guess the point that we're trying to make here is what we're zeroing in on. Abortion is wrong.
Yeah.
It's murder. It's killing a baby, whatever the case may be, whether it's increased the population of whites, or whites are wanting to gain this, or blacks are gaining too much and all that kind of stuff. Listen, folks, there's no excuse. Murder is murder. And abortion is just like pulling a gun on somebody and killing them. Okay? Now, in Jackson, Mississippi, listen, we're talking about people putting abortion clinics and things in black communities trying to destroy black people. Listen, in Jackson, Mississippi, the place where when they have abortion, they're sending an abortion clinic in Jackson, Mississippi, where mostly black people live, the population. And these black people are going in there by the groves having abortion. That's what they were doing. So why were they doing that? To kill off black people. And they were doing it in other places across the country. This is what it's about. And whether it's for whites or blacks or whatever the case is, abortion, killing is wrong. It's murder. And God is not satisfied.
And
he's not satisfied. And the thing about it is, but to go back to the point, you just proved my point. What I was saying was, in D.C., we used to call this Chocolate City because it was 80%. It was 80% black. It is no longer that. The Hispanics are 55%. We are 35%, and the white population is smaller.
Wow.
And they're upset about it. They're upset about it because they know sooner or later that the black and Hispanic population is going to outnumber them because white women are having more and more abortions, and it wasn't supposed to be that way.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'll tell it then. We got a phone call coming in.
Okay, Bishop, we got a phone call, so hang on just a minute. Let's go to our phone line.
Just end it because I got a certain amount of time I got to get to.
Okay, all right. I think that was Russell.
Yeah,
you can call back again, 901-213-6020. Hang on to the line there so we can click and get you on and when you call back. Call back again, 901-213-6020.
There we go.
There we go. And call and give us your opinion, folks. If you have something to say, Roe versus Wade, whether we agree or disagree, give us your opinion. And
well, go ahead and swipe it. I'm gonna do something. Hit the red button. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see.
No, you ain't got to do nothing else. If it ain't ringing, just leave it at that.
Okay.
I'll take care of it.
All right.
I got you.
Okay. Just call back again.
I got it.
Can you get it?
I'll take care of it. I'll let you know when it's on. So.
Okay.
There we go.
There we go.
Russell,
gentlemen.
Hank Russell, welcome to the show. Good afternoon on a Saturday. I almost said a Friday. Good evening.
Oh, good evening, fellas. It was good to see you last night, of course, and then today. Man. Blessed be. Blessed be. Yes, sir.
So what you think?
This is controversial, gentlemen, but how controversial is it really if you are pro-Christian? How controversial?
Pro-Christian, or if you're a Christian or pro-Christian, or what do you mean?
If you're pro-Christian, if you are a Christian, this is not debatable. You know, I saw your post you put out yesterday, you know, about what it says in the Bible about conception at birth. This is not debatable. And I'm absolutely fed up, like, with the fact that you have people out there choosing, well, I go to church, I'm a Christian, but then I choose what I choose to follow.
Yeah. Picking and choosing what's right.
Exactly. Yeah. If you aren't a Christian, or if you don't even believe in God's commandments, then this is more debatable. You know, hey, you know, you can have a little bit more of a debate about this because you won't see it as murder. You won't see it as against God's word. Forget calling it murder. It's against God's plan in the first place. And I know that comes off as like very. And y'all know me, I'm not really overly conservative about things. And I know it comes off that way. I'm talking to you as a Christian right now. That's all I'm talking to you as a Christian right now.
Okay. All right, Hank. Anything else, or Bishop? You want to respond to that?
I couldn't hear what she was saying. It was very muffled. I didn't hear what the person was saying.
Okay, sorry.
Well, I'll say this one last thing. You know, you were talking about the population control. You know, people being jealous of certain minorities becoming overpopulated or outweighing the Caucasian.
Yeah, because you're a Caucasian yourself. What do you think about that?
I don't think it matters. Let me tell you something right now. It doesn't matter who rules the population. If you are not raised in a household that teaches you how to be a productive adult, then it doesn't matter who overrules the population. This world is run by people who are leaders and who are competent and professional at whatever it is that they do in their life. It doesn't, there could be, the population that's just like, okay, good example. If black folks are the minority in this country, okay, but who are the majority of the athletes out there? African Americans.
Yeah.
Why? Because generally speaking, African Americans are better at the sport of football, basketball, and at one point in time, baseball, boxing, all these sports, and yet they are a minority because they are competent, professional, and have greatness to what they do. So if you're worried about overpopulation, then don't. If Caucasians are worried about overpopulation, then don't. Just prove that you're competent, and that goes because it works in African Americans' cases when it comes to certain things like sports and parts of entertainment and other aspects of professionalism. Look at the real estate. Look at real estate right now. Real estate is making a big come up for African Americans right now, and African Americans are a minority. So don't tell me. So if any of my Caucasian listeners out there, do not be bitter towards people outgrowing you, because all you have to do is be competent and professional in what it is that you do. So don't get bitter like, oh, they're going to completely ruin this country.
Well,
they're
okay.
going to completely.
Hank, do you think that's the case, or do you think black people thinking that way is wrong? They're not right the way white people feel about that.
No, I don't believe so. I don't believe, contrary to popular belief, Bob, most Caucasian households are taught not to be that way. It's a popular belief that they think that people think that like that. That's not true in most cases. That is such an old school way of thinking.
Okay, so the people that are making those excuses are making excuses for abortion.
They're making excuses for abortion. It doesn't matter.
To have an abortion.
Book.
Yeah.
Yes, it's written in the good book that you do not need to have an abortion, and you're not supposed to, and yet you're making excuses for it. You're trying to move the goalpost and trying to go against what God's word truly says in that book, and it's very irritating.
But it's the woman's body. It's her body, though. Even though God is against killing and against murder, but can't we do what we want to do with our bodies? And can we? Are we free will people though? Can we do what we want to do? But what?
Hey, ladies are going to love me when I say this. It's not my decision because I'm not a woman. That's not my decision. That is between you and God and your situation. That is not for me to say because I am not a woman. Women, that I will say. Men do not have the right to tell a woman what to do. That is her and her conscience.
Okay, but is she right or wrong if she have an abortion?
She's absolutely wrong.
Okay, all right.
But it's not my. But it's not. It's her decision whether to do the right.
We can't force. We can't put anything on them and force them and get angry with them because they choose not to. But we do. We are responsible for telling them the truth. Jesus said, "You shall know the truth."
That's the key.
And the truth shall make you free. That's the key.
Yeah. Absolutely. If you can't logically figure out what I just said, then clearly you have the IQ of your shoe size.
Oh.
if you can't, I just put it out in plain logic and English that I'll say it again.
Okay.
It's not. I am not. A man has no right to tell a woman what to do with her body. That is up to her to do that. But as the woman, and if you are a woman of God, then you should have better sense than to go against the word. And if you do go against the word, then guess what? You are going against God. You are going against God and His teachings. So we have to trust the women to do the right thing.
Okay. All right. Hank, thanks for the call.
Absolutely. Sorry I got worked up. But, oof.
Yeah. That's all right, man. Appreciate the call, bro. Everybody gets worked up every now and then.
Yes, sir. Yes, man. Y'all have a good evening.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the call. All right. Bishop, back to you.
I know you probably couldn't hear most of that.
My problem is I couldn't hear the person that was talking. It was like tremendously muffled. So
Yeah. Okay. All right. Our show today, Roe versus Wade. We want to talk about it a little bit. Now, did you read the comments? Some of the comments that were coming in, and we could talk about them as well. And the phone lines are still open if you'd like to call and give us your opinion on it. And people are making a lot of opinions. They're upset online, but they don't want to call and say, I mean,
it's funny. It's people watching, but not calling or not commenting, which is fine.
Okay, that's fine.
Call from Frankie. To accept, press 1. To send a...
Okay, Frankie, welcome to the show. Good evening on a Saturday.
Hi, Mr. Bob, Josh.
Hey, how you doing, my friend?
I'm good. Well, I'm not one of those people who will make comments and won't call in. I will call in to defend my position.
Okay.
No, I believe it. I was looking forward to it.
Let me say this.
Mm-hmm.
I've never had an abortion. I do not believe if I had ever been in that position that I would have had one. Mm-hmm. I thank the Lord that I was never, molested or anything as a child growing up. Mm-hmm. So that was never an issue. But the reason that I was against Roe versus Wade being overturned is because I remember, I don't know how old you are, Mr. Bob, but I think I'm older than you. But when
you probably are. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
No, I'm true. I'm telling the truth. I think I am. But in 1973, when it passed, I remember my mom was really happy. She was really excited about it. Mm-hmm. And I was 12 years old. Mm-hmm. And I asked my mom, I said, are you for abortion? Because that's all I thought Roe versus Wade was about. Mm-hmm. And she said, no, I'm not for abortion. Let me tell you what happened to me. Mm-hmm. And she told me that when she was pregnant with my sister in 1962, mm-hmm. My sister was breached. So back then there weren't a lot of, medical options like there are now.
Yeah, right.
And the doctor called my parents in when my mom was like 8 months and told them that it did not appear that my sister was going to turn around. So they were going to, try and turn her around during delivery. Mm-hmm. But there was a chance that they could only save one person. Mm. And they needed to know who to save if it came down to that, the mother or the baby. And my mom said when she went to open her mouth to say what she wanted, the doctor stopped her and said, Mrs. Green, I'm sorry. You're not allowed to make this decision. Oh. Your husband has to make the decision.
That's crazy.
And
that's
she
crazy.
Said, so when it passed, her mentality was, she told me, she said, now you will never have to deal with this. if it ever comes to a medical decision, you can make it for yourself. You don't have to wait for somebody else to decide if you can live or die.
Yeah, and you know, that is terror. I mean, that is, man, I can't even imagine
to be in that position. Yeah.
First of all, that doctor ought to be, you know,
that was the law. It wasn't just the doctor. That was the law.
Yeah, that's an insane law, and I'm never for nothing like that. I mean, and that's one thing I've definitely been trying to make clear here. Like that, anything like that, I am never for. And anybody, just be even more clear, whether you're Christian or whatever, and you say you're for something like that, then you're wrong. You're just as wrong as people that, in my view, that get abortions for birth control reasons. You know what I mean? That's just insanity. You know what I mean? But I really feel like if any state, and I saw you put down about there's states that have the trigger laws, that don't cover that, and I think that's wrong. And
they
hopefully,
don't cover rape and sex.
Yeah, and hopefully that changes, because that doesn't make a lot of sense. And I feel like those states would have done that anyway, you know, because there's been a lot of restrictions going on even before Roe versus Wade happened, the reversal. But if there are states that are doing that, I think that's wrong.
Well, Tennessee doesn't have rape in there.
Yeah.
Arkansas does not have rape or incest, and their governor was on the news, and he said they are not going to change it because it's still abortion. You know, I'm not going to tell, I wouldn't do it, but I can't tell somebody else that they shouldn't. Because their situation could be totally different from mine.
Right.
You know, I was married. I never was pregnant prior to marriage or any of that. I was married. And I'll tell you something else, and I'll end on this. There are a lot of states now that if you miscarry, they're going to investigate the miscarriage as a potential murder.
Well, that's
because
that's insane.
Because they're going, and their thinking is that women will start miscarrying as a way to abort the baby.
Okay, what if the doctor, if the mother's going through in a situation, and then the doctors decide, okay, hey, this child is not going to make it. If we've got to take this child, or and you can decide whatever you want to do. If you know something's going on, a miscarriage is not going to grow anymore, or whatever the case may be. But you know, they say, okay, what should we do?
Well, I would say this. I had a miscarriage. My first baby, I miscarried. And I was thinking, when Roe versus Wade was overturned, and I had read up about all these different states that are going to investigate miscarriages, my first thought was, that is such a horrendous act, because as a mother, my entire family was horrified. And so the thought of the police coming in and asking you questions. And so now, then that's going to throw out HIPAA, because you can't get my medical records without my permission. But if they're going to investigate it as a possible murder, then they will be able to get access to my medical records. And that's not fair. That's not right.
Yeah, I agree.
They're not doing it to me.
I agree with that. I mean, and this is where the extremists can come in, because this is the dangerous part about this whole politicization of their situation, where it's become more about the politics than the people involved. You know what I'm saying? And I think that is the case on both sides. I'm not convinced either side really cares like they say they do, because even before Roe versus Wade was overturned, there could have been more done to protect certain things, in my opinion. But even now, you got folks going too far to the other extreme. And this is why I just want to make this clear before you get off, Frankie. for me, as a Christian that's not identified as no type of conservative or either party or liberal, my thing is about life and death, right and wrong. And to me, what should be the case now that it's overturned, the church and Christians should now embrace those that need help. They should now fight just as hard as they fought for Roe versus Wade overturning, fight just as hard for protective rights of women that want to give birth the right way, and even in case of emergencies, needing the proper care to get that done. You know what I'm saying? I think that should be the job of Christians and the Republicans that are celebrating this. Don't just end it there and put on some type of crazy lockdown. You need to fight for protections of women in other ways, so you don't look like just some type of evil group of people that just want to control things. That's the way I stand on it.
Okay, and Frankie, you know,
but I want to hear what she thought on that. What do you think?
Go ahead, Frankie. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay, now what we were thinking, I agree to a point on what you were saying about the overturning Roe versus Wade, that a woman can make a decision if it's a situation like what you were talking about, or some type of life ending situation or something like that, rape or incest or whatever the case may be. Now, some would say, even though it's a rape, that still is a life, and some people have been children, or they live their life, they've been a child of a person, of a victim of rape, and they come out to be successful. So, but my thing is, and what we're talking about is beyond that, which the law is stating it covers that, so we don't have to worry about that. And I think a lot of people are using that to say, okay, well, what about the women that get incest or raped or sick, or they don't have to worry about that. That law covers that part. But
no. Just to be clear, because I was just addressing that. There are some states. Where it doesn't, and that what I'm saying is.
But
and I agree with you.
Let me finish out.
Yeah.
Those that do.
Yeah.
You still have a lot of women that are complaining about Roe versus Wade, which at that point they should not be complaining, because if people are complaining about it still, then I think some people want to use it as another way of
and we've said that,
birth control. And that's not right to be able to use that as a way of birth control. They lay down and get pregnant, and then say, well, I'll just get rid of it, and and just keep moving on. I don't want to mess my life up at this point. I'm only 19 years old, so I've got other things I need to do. But the fact of the matter is, they should not have committed fornication in the first place, to where they can be able to get to the point to where they are having a child or conceived a child by committing fornication. And one person, I forget her name, she had left a statement saying, if a woman on Facebook earlier, she said, if a woman is going to have a child by a man, then she should make him marry her and then have the child, and make him to give him that responsibility, and make him take care of his children or his child. And
that's a great point. You know what?
Yeah.
I'm to that point, and I remember
Emily made that. Yeah,
Emily. I saw it on your Facebook. Now, only thing I disagree with is to make him marry him, because if he's a deadbeat, she shouldn't be locked.
Well, what the point that she's trying to make is, don't lay with somebody that you don't have the intention to marry.
I got you, but
that's the point.
I agree with that. And the thing is, if they conceive a baby together and he's a bum, I don't think there should be a law that forces them to still get married. But I think let me finish what I'm saying.
Okay, go ahead.
Let him still be responsible.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's it.
Yeah, but I think what this law is going to do, and I think what this law is doing to a lot of women that disagree and upset about this, is because they can't lay down and just have sex whenever they want to, and then use this as a way of birth control. They can just lay with any man, and if not, this is not going to be my husband, but we're going to do this just to enjoy each other and have the pleasures of sin for a season, and before I get married, and that type of thing, which is the wrong thing to do, and that's why we were leading to that's why we're in the situation that we were in. Okay, Frankie,
that is a lot there.
Yeah,
so.
Frankie.
Yeah. Thank you for taking my call.
Yes, thank you for calling, and we appreciate your comments.
Okay.
All right, Bishop, you still there? Yes, sir.
I'm listening.
Yeah, yeah. We want you know what I'm fixing to say. But anyway, go ahead, Bishop.
No, I was getting ready to say it was difficult for me to hear whatever Frankie was saying. It was extremely muffled, so I couldn't hear what she was saying. But you know, it's up until that point, it's been a very, very interesting conversation.
Definitely, and just
Bishop Joseph Jackson is who we're talking to out of Washington, D.C. And go ahead.
Well, I know just to kind of let him know some of what was said there. I know she talked about why she was against it overturning a situation that her mother went through back in the day, and with she wasn't allowed to make a decision about the birth of her sister as far as whether to go through with it or not. It was an emergency situation that could have taken her mother's life, and the doctors were saying what should they do, and basically told her that she can't make a decision because at that time that was the law. That was before Roe versus Wade. So that's why she is against it being overturned. So
okay, Bishop.
But if the mother's life was in danger, are you saying that they wouldn't let her make the decision about her own life?
Yeah, this was the law before Roe versus Wade happened.
Yeah.
And the father had to be the one that made the choice.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So, and I didn't even know that. Wow. So, and I that's insane.
So is this where women are upset about things that are in the past, to where they were not able to work, they were not able to do things that women do? You know how it was back in the day, and but now
I'm not going to speak for them. I think that's why women. I wish some of the ladies would call in and talk, because only they can tell you. I can't even begin to get into their mindset. They need to speak up and say what they feel.
Yeah, and again, you know, with everything we say, this is where my balance is. I think those that have overturned this law, you need to make it explicitly clear what you're going to do for women now that this is done. Now, again, despite all of this, it's only around 4% of the cases of abortions that are the health risks, the life or death situations.
Only 4%. Okay, let me make it clear. Out of 100% of abortions that are being done, only 4% are done because of health reasons.
Yeah, deadly health reasons.
So really, there's not a whole bunch of health reasons happening why women are having abortions.
Yeah. Now, I do agree that those need to be protected, and I do think those that helped overturn this law need to focus on that, so women don't think they don't care at all.
Right.
So that just needs to be smart about it. But on the other end of the spectrum, this is why I think the majority of abortions, if you look at any statistic, it's because of the poverty situation. It's because of people felt they weren't ready for babies. It's because of they don't like the father of the baby. You know what I'm saying? And things of that nature, kind of along those lines for most of them. And some just didn't want to have a baby at all, you know? So, you know, on those reasons, I can't find any reason to justify even giving those people a choice in that matter.
Well, then here's another question that we might want to put out there. My question is, okay, two people have come together and a baby is conceived. She comes to me and says that, you're the father of the child. Okay, suppose we don't get along. and she decides that she wants to abort the baby, have I no say on whether or not she should have the child and give the child to me?
Oh, you definitely should have a say.
But see, now here again. Now, this is what the women are saying: is her body. The man shouldn't. In most cases, women are saying, and not in all cases, but women are saying in most cases that the man can't make this decision, even though it's his child too. But the man can't make the decision. The woman has the right to make that decision, not the man.
You know, and it's funny how they go. To me, it should be phrased like this. It is, at the end of the day, ultimately the woman's decision, but I think both should be involved in the decision. You get what I'm saying? Like, a man can't sit there and grab, as I said earlier, grab a woman and force her to do it. Whether right or wrong. It's just kind of is what it is. But at the same time, you can't tell me as a man, if I disagree, that I don't have a say. That we're not going to have a discussion. Yes, we're going to have a discussion about it. You know what I'm saying?
Why?
Because I have a say in it. Because it's partially mine if I'm that guy. You get what I'm saying? Yeah.
Okay.
It ain't all, there's got to be a discussion. Point blank.
Okay, Bishop, what do you think?
I'm with him. My thing is, it's our baby. It's we made that child. Give me the opportunity to say, I want the kid. If you don't want to be in the kid's life, that's fine. Just have the baby. If I got to take care of the medical expenses and whatever, I will do that. But have the child. Give the child to me. That's my son. That's my daughter. We made a mistake. We shouldn't have done this. But it goes back again to the thing. Let's not get so involved sexually that we don't use that condom, or we don't use the IUD or all the other stuff that they use or whatever. Take the birth control pill. But the fact is, the book says you have to put yourself under subjection. You and it's not easy. I told young women all the time, it's easier to say no when you've never had sex. But if you ever had sex and you hooked up with a freak, baby, you got a problem. You won't have a problem.
Yeah.
It's not as easy to say no the next time. The thing about it is, you've got to be aware that there are consequences for our behavior. And I think that's the main thing that we as a society don't teach our young people anymore. There are consequences. Are you prepared to deal with them?
That's it.
And you need to think about that before you act.
Because I'm not for bailouts, and because, it's almost like, well, I feel like abortion's gotten to the point because you get caught up in these other things. And not saying these other things that were being brought up aren't legitimate. But at the end of the day, I know from seeing people in my generation, abortion is treated super casually. And more than I originally thought at one point several years ago. It is super casual. I mean, it's like you made a mistake on a paper and it's let me throw it away and start again. That's how casual it is, and that's a problem.
Yeah.
That comes into being because today life in any of its forms means absolutely nothing. If you can stand in the middle of the street and just shoot somebody for no reason, if you can do like kids did on the subway the other day, stab somebody to death. I mean, you're 15 years old. What do you have a knife on you for? Why are you stabbing people? I mean, you have no concept of what life is and how precious life is. And if that's the case, you're able to do anything.
But Bishop,
so it doesn't matter. So it doesn't matter whether they abort or whatever. They just have no consciousness of what life is about. I'm scared now because the dumb Supreme Court got protection around their homes, but yet now they've turned around and said that you can carry a gun in public. With all the shootings that are going on, don't they realize life means nothing to these people?
Yeah.
They'll kill you on a whim.
Yeah. That is a situation. So are you saying a person that is going around stabbing people like this guy on the subway, a person that commits abortion, or a lady that have an abortion is the same way? It's both murder. It's the same as killing.
Murder is murder.
But see,
Murder is murder.
but the thing about it though, Bishop, what people are saying is, when you murder a person you see that has already been born and that's alive, you see that's a person. But a person that's in the womb that is just started growing, which some people call a fetus, is not yet a child. So to kill that is different from shooting someone.
That's not what the book told me. They told me that when he was conceived, the child, he says child, CHILD, that's a living person. An organism was a living person. That's what I'm going on.
Do you know that if a woman is pregnant, this has always been the argument that can never be really explained away. If a woman is pregnant at any stage and is killed, and the baby is killed, what happens?
The person that killed them is charged with murder of two people.
Yes.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, so why are they charged with murder of two people when the woman can have an abortion and get rid of the child? But if the person shoots the mother and kills the mother and the child, now the person's charged with murder of two people. How is that two in a sense? Is what we're asking. When some people believe that they believe in abortion, that person is not a child and should not be charged. That's not a murder. How can that not be?
That's not.
Well, the book told you that in the last days they wouldn't believe in sound doctrine. You know what the book told us about what life is, and if they don't want to accept it, they won't accept it. He told you that wasn't going to happen. So why are you surprised?
Yeah.
It says it told you not to, think it not strange. You living in quote unquote peerless times. You're living in times that Jesus said is going to happen before he came back. Think it not strange when you see stupid stuff like this going on.
Yeah. And God created man and the woman, and he said, be productive, be fruitful, and multiply. I never heard God say anything in that, well, if it gets too many people or you don't want them, then let's divide.
No.
Let's kill the person. But he said, be fruitful and multiply.
And it's interesting that,
or give life.
And I know we're kind of going along here, but it's interesting that a lot of people that say that a woman is whatever you decide it to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of people that say a woman is a man can be a woman if he decides to. A lot of those same people are now all about women's rights. You know what I'm saying?
But how can a man be a woman when he can't produce?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's a lot of double talking going on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's a whole nother.
All right, Bishop Joseph Jackson out of Washington, D.C. We appreciate you joining us, and we'll give you the last comments to say if you have any comments. We appreciate you joining us. Good stuff.
No, I'm fine. I'm just glad that you suckered me in on this one, Bishop. But I'm glad to have been a part of it, and just ask the nation, the people, pray for the nation. We're in trouble.
Absolutely,
we're in serious trouble. Pray for this nation. We're in trouble.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And Bishop, again, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. I'm going to get you again.
I know that, but I thought not to answer that phone, but nevertheless. All right, take care, guys.
Thank you, my friend.
Sir.
All right. We appreciate him joining us out of Washington, D.C. And
kicking and screaming. That's it.
Yes.
But no, it was great.
Yeah, it was great. But hey, folks, we appreciate all the decision and everything. And your voice, you have a right to your voice. You have a right to your opinion. There's nothing wrong with that. And this is what makes freedom. You have the right to say and whatever you'd like to say, but you have the right to do what you want to do. Let me make that clear. You have the right, if the law permits, to do what you want to do, even though if the law don't permit it, you still, it's your will to do what you want to do. But now, after you do that, you're going to suffer the consequences. Whatever the law is, if it's the law after you robbing a bank, you get caught, you're going to suffer the consequences. If it's the law against shooting someone, you're going to suffer the consequences. Whatever it is, even in abortion, that's murder. Even after you have that abortion, you're going to suffer the consequences. Now, there have been women, and I talked to them in the past, that decided to get an abortion, but they want the abortion clinics. When you go to get an abortion, there are a lot of things that they don't tell you and they don't want to tell you. Women that go through nightmares, go through hard and difficult times after the abortion is done.
There's a lot of trauma.
It's a lot of trauma. I guess I could save that for another show, get a guest to come on and talk about that. But there's a lot of things that happen when that person is decided to go into that abortion clinic, which the law now in the state of Tennessee, you can't do it. And in several other states, it took effect immediately. And I'm one to tell you personally, and I'm not ashamed of it. I thank God for it. And that's what I put in a statement out on Facebook. I thank God for it. Man, am I getting a bunch of comments and people are negative about it. But hey, like I said, you have your right of your opinion. But whatever you do and whatever we do, we are going to suffer the consequences. And think about this if you're a Christian. Christian means Christ-like. Ask yourself, would Jesus do this? What would Jesus do? If you ask the question of yourself as a woman, and you're faced with the question of, should I have an abortion? Ask the question, what would Jesus think on this? What would he say? What is his word? How would he feel? What would Jesus do in every situation we're going through, whatever it may be? And that alone will answer your question. But some people don't want to ask themselves that question because they want to do whatever they want to do and to get away with it and not feel the guilt or not the guilt, but the conviction. They don't want to be convicted by the Holy Spirit. If the Holy Spirit convicts you, then there's something wrong with it. And we have to listen to that. We just can't override the voice of God and the Holy Spirit and the Word of God. We just can't override that and just say it's okay and just use an excuse. It's just her choice. It's her body. She can do whatever she wants with it. But we have to think about the point as a Christian and a non-Christian, whoever you are. Who do I belong to? Who is my creator? Is it okay? Is it okay to grab a gun and shoot somebody in the face or wherever? Is it okay? Go back the same way and ask the question, is it okay to get rid of this child that's in your womb? Ask yourself the question and be honest with yourself. Be honest. Be honest, folks. In everything, let's be honest. And I have talked to, I tried to anyway. I had a one bishop that was communicating with me on Facebook.
Yeah, that's when we gonna bring that up.
And man, he said, I agree with the women on here. It's the right, she has the right to do whatever she wants with her body. So I asked the question, so you're agreeing it's okay if she decides to murder or to abort the child? It's okay. Yeah, that's I agree with it. So I disagreed with him, but at the same time, Oh, later on, he just deleted me.
Yeah, he did. You know, and I'm like this. I don't regret you posting that, and I would have said more, because it's at the end of the day, somebody in that position is to be held to a higher standard and stuff like that. Even a higher standard than,
and that was a bishop here in Memphis.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And a higher standard than just the average person. You know what I mean? Not to say he's better than anybody
And
else.
I'm not calling any names. I'm not
I'm
like
not doing that either. But it's not my point to do that. But my point is that we're in a position of leadership, especially with church, or as a Christian period. There's a higher standard there, because as people of the world are not as susceptible as we are to those things. You get what I'm saying? Because they're not saved, not enlightened, not, we could talk about that too in the whole Bible teaching.
Right.
But anyway. Now I want to play this clip here before we go.
Okay.
And I thought this was interesting. This was the day that it was overturned, and this was a person that was out there with signs in front of the Supreme Court building, and they talked to a young lady. She had this to say about it. Y'all check this out.
Check this out. We'll be back.
Let's bring in NBC's Maura Barrett, who's with the crowds who have gathered outside the Supreme Court, and I know you're hearing it from both sides, Maura.
Yeah, Lester, the way that you just contextualize it is completely accurate. It's a very mixed bag here on the ground, and the crowd has just quadrupled, if not more, since the decision came down just after 10 a.m. I'm still right in the middle of it, just outside in front of the Supreme Court. And what I have noticed, while we've seen a mix of opinions, it is a plurality of young people. And I want to bring in Nina. She traveled in from Pennsylvania, and she was one of the people that was celebrating the decision being overturned. And so, Nina, I want to ask you, what drove you to come out here today? What are you looking for? And tell me a little bit about how you're feeling now that we saw the decision come down.
Well, as you can see, I'm very excited. I drove down here for Students for Life. We have a bunch of collectives and leadership programs focused on making sure women have the necessary resources that they need throughout their pregnancy. And I'm excited, but we all, as if you can see the celebration, but we all know this is not where the work ends. This is where it begins, because from anyone you can ask, this is what we'll be working for the rest of our lives, to make abortion illegal, unthinkable, and unnecessary.
And our NBC polling has shown that 60% of women think, or 60% of Americans think that abortion should be legal in some capacity. 30% are on the other side of it. What do you make that your group is kind of in the minority on this, and what do you want to say to other people who don't share the same opinions as you?
I mean, there's a lot to, obviously there's a lot of nuances, a lot of different opinions, but at the end of the day, human rights begin at conception, at the end at natural death, and that's what we're fighting for. So no matter what you believe, we're here to protect the woman and the child.
Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts.
There she said it. Human rights, human life begins at conception. It's not what they call a fetus, or some people call they call it fetus. They say it's not a human life.
Yeah, a clump of cells.
Yeah.
And here's the interesting thing, and I think key was she was saying, not just life, but rights as well.
Yeah.
Meaning they have a right to have the opportunity to live. And I think what's important to not forget about what she said and why it stood out to me so much. It's funny, I was watching that live. I was literally having to be watching that live as that happened, because I was just watching the news coverage. And then she popped up, and I'm like, man, it was powerful because, and I looked up that organization, Students for Life, and they do a lot of stuff like that. They've been fighting for that for a long time. What is key, the first thing she said, and I think that's the sign of a true Christian in that aspect, is that their goal is to get pregnant women the resources they need to follow through with the pregnancy in a healthy way. It's basically what she was saying. That should be the focus. It just is what it is. And part of that is preventing abortion.
Yeah.
And part of that is making sure that that's not even an option anymore. And that's kind of what's happening now. And now you have to continue that process and not just leave people hanging. That's where the church does step in. And I think that's where a lot will continue to. I remember it was a church in San Antonio, with John Hagee. And I remember his son that wrote a letter, Matthew, who's been pastoring life right now, wrote a letter. This was years ago, and it hit me. He's like, he agrees. This was way before Roe versus Wade was overturned, of course. But fighting against the abortion issue, he felt that there has to be some sort of alternative provided by the church that can afford to do it. And they built an entire community. Like it's been millions of dollars
for women,
for women that are in financial situations where, otherwise they couldn't afford a baby, or with housing and food and support, health care, all sorts of things, where they got the women to move in there and they literally take care of them. That is what Jesus would do in that case.
And it's showing the love of God.
That's it.
It's showing the love of God. And then when you show the love of God, then at the same time, now you can teach them.
Exactly.
And now they can find out, okay, what I did was wrong. But we're saying we're not going to pull the dark shades down on you because you did wrong. That's done. So let's move on with the future. Let's move ahead. We're going to help you get there. We're going to, whatever the case is. But at the same time, we've got to let you know and teach you that this is wrong. And now we're going to teach you how you can move on and what's the right way to do this and help you in the future to go on and whatever the case may be.
It just came to me. One thing we talked about in the past, grace and truth, right? With Jesus and the woman at the well. Remember that? She was, sleeping with guys and all sorts of things outside of marriage. He confronted her with the truth. Wasn't rude about it, but he was very blunt with it.
Right.
You ain't doing right. But at the same time,
But see, the point about it though, Judge, why did he tell her to go call your husband? And he knew that she wasn't married.
Yeah.
Because he said later on, she said, I have no husband. He said, no, you've had 5. And the one you have now is not your husband. So she was on another husband, a marriage. So some people say, well, how can that be her husband? When the man and a woman connect with each other in sexual relationship, that's marriage. You are connected with each other. You have come in contact with each other. That's marriage. That's why Jesus said, you're right. You have covenanted, you connected, you have had 5, and the one you have now is not your husband in the sense that you're married to her, but you connected in a way to where husband and wife officially are supposed to connect. So therefore, you're not supposed to connect that way until you're married officially. The way that God says, shall a man leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife, and they two shall be what? One flesh. But when a man and a woman come together in sexual relationship, they become one. That's marriage in a sense. And so, but God, he gave her a grace. And so he allowed her to be able to understand who he was, and what he was about.
And that's the grace and truth.
Grace
is,
the unmerited favor.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the truth means, and that's part of love too. People don't understand. Love is not you lie to them because
I'm gonna be soft. Well, I don't want to tell you the truth. I don't want to say this offend you. It's not about offending. The gospel of Jesus Christ is not about offense. It is about telling the truth. And like I said earlier, Jesus said, you shall know the truth. And the truth that you know will set you free. So if you don't give them the truth, what? It won't set them free. It won't make them free. But it's the truth that makes you free.
Same with the abortion issue. You extend the truth, And now what's happened with Roe versus Wade, then the grace needs to be extended on the back end.
Yes.
So it's all very important. It works in concert. So, but yeah, appreciate everybody that's watching, listen as well.
Yeah,
I know we've gone almost we're 30 seconds from 2 hours.
2 hours, and we've been on for a while. And
Greg just came in.
But hey, if we're only give you just a couple of minutes, and we're gonna be off of here, I guess, in about a few minutes, 10 minutes, whatever the case may be. If you'd like to call and give your opinion on Roe versus Wade, we may not agree with you, you may not agree with us, but that's not the point. We want you to be heard. 901-213-6020, and we want you to be here. You may have a word or something for someone that could help someone. Even though we may not agree on everything, but you may have something that you can say that will help someone, even though they may not agree with, but it still could be something that could help someone. So don't think to yourself that, well, I disagree with, they may disagree with me, but you still may have a word of wisdom. You may have wisdom to be able to help people in whatever situation that they're in and whatever's being committed.
And to sum up, several have come in on the late end. Greg says, dang, he's late.
Yeah.
It's all good, man. He's 1 minute into what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Quick summary from me, as far as my thoughts. Look, like I said, not for it. I am for the overturning of the decision. I do think it is being overhyped as a disaster for women. I do not believe so. I do think at the same time, those that are for the overturning of Roe versus Wade need to support women that need help in said situations now that this has happened. It's a combination of both. I do think in the past, some of the messaging for overturning Roe versus Wade and overturning abortion and all that stuff has been wrong by some Christians and some right-wing Republicans, has been a little bit too crazy over the years, but it doesn't change the fact of the matter that abortion is wrong. And by any metric you look at, outside of rape and incest and health reasons that could kill the mother, which is less than 4% of rapes. Well, not of rapes, of abortions.
Of abortions.
Less than, as I just said, less than 4% of abortions.
Now, make that clear. Out of 100 abortions, only 4% of those abortions is rape, incest, and sickness.
Yeah,
health reasons. Only 4%. So the rest of those 96%, Josh, you're saying, are illegal? Are people just having abortion just a habit? Is that what you're saying?
And you cannot deny. Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And you cannot deny. And I know from experience, and not experiencing this, but experiencing people in my generation and talking to them. Abortion is super casual. And I think older people, some of y'all may be older, you don't know how casual it is to folks my age and younger. It is as casual as taking a Tylenol. Literally.
Wow.
And it's no telling, because of the ease of access of technology and advancement of medicine, how easy it is and how casual, how many some people have had. Not let alone the effects that people don't talk about this can have on hormones of these young women and all this other stuff. Really, really think about this. You get what I'm saying? Really, really think about what's happening. And Greg, I'm glad you said this. Greg says he's solidly on the fence on his answer there. He says, I don't understand the whole making women second-class citizens talk. I really don't buy that.
Yeah.
And it's no disrespect to anybody. I just don't get it.
Yeah, so women are being made second class because they can't make decisions concerning abortion.
But look, here's the thing. Who's really been the second class citizen in the issue? Has it been the woman, or has it been the baby that they've carried to women that have had those abortions? I think this is preventing humans that are in the womb from being second class citizens, because guess what?
You're not giving them a chance to live.
Exactly. And they're not even considering them as citizens or human beings.
Right.
And I think that's bogus. And the only reason they're doing that as an excuse to continue to do what they're doing.
And
you look at most, and to those of you that are talking about the health issue when it comes to abortion, look at most people that are pro-abortion. They don't even usually bring that up in their argument. They bring up the fact that women should be able to do whatever they want.
Right.
I'm going to tell you this. Nobody should be able to do whatever they want, whether it's a man or a woman. Just not the way life works. There's laws, there's rules, there's consequences to actions. Nobody should be able to do whatever they want.
Yeah. That's
insane to think that. It's insane to think a man doesn't have a say, especially if he, specifically a man that's involved in the consummation of said child, has no say in the matter of the abortion issue. I'm not saying he forces the woman to do it, but to say he has no say in it is insane.
Yeah.
Well, and to say that, you know, a woman should be able to, you know, a lot of this stuff is insane. I think reasonable people have allowed the emotionalism of these politics to get them swayed in their opinion of what makes sense and common sense in this issue.
Okay, let me say this. Folks, sin is sin. So we have to stop making excuses to sin. And Roe versus Wade being overturned, now they can't have an abortion like they want to
in a lot of states.
In a lot of states, you know, that women just want to use this now. Like I said, 96% of the women have been using this as a way of birth control. Well, I'll lay down with whoever I want to lay down, have my sex and enjoy it. And if I conceive, I'll take a morning after pill, or I'll go to the abortion clinic and get an abortion because it's readily available for me. Now you can't do that. And so this is why a lot of people are upset. They're not upset because it's taking away the woman that has been raped, incest, or for health reasons. That's a part of the package deal when they came down with this ruling. So you don't have to worry about that. So women are saying, well, that, you know, they're taking away our rights and our health reasons for this and that. No, it's not taking that away. That's not what they've taken away. What is taken away is your opportunity to just lay down and have sex outside of marriage with whoever you want to and conceive. And now you got to, you can't have an abortion just because I don't want the baby anymore. Well, if I conceive and I have sex and I conceive, I can get rid of the baby. You can't do it anymore. And so women now are upset because of that. And so therefore they're in disagreement with it. Folks, you need to think about this. And well, you know, folks that are going to be, that want to do that, and that's their lifestyle, then yes, you're upset. And I can understand why you're upset, but it's wrong to think that way.
Absolutely. And I'm going to read Greg's comment here.
Yeah, Greg, go ahead.
He said, Josh is not as casual as you think. It's more acceptable, but believe me, abortions take a toll emotionally on a woman. No, I agree.
Yeah, well, that's what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, and he says
women don't understand the emotional toll that it takes on a woman when she has an abortion. Go ahead.
And just to finish, he says, and I'm speaking from personal experience, it's not as frowned upon as years past, true enough, but the effects are still as prevalent. And I'm going to tell you from, and I know your experience, Greg, and I think that's a great point. I actually agree with all of that you're saying. Yeah. You know, it's no question. But what I'm saying is, talking to younger folks and women, I'm not saying it's not a hard decision for some women to make. But when you hear men and women talking about it, and this is the angle I went a little bit earlier, a lot of these women let deadbeat dads off the hook with abortion. Just is what it is. A lot of reasons why a lot of these guys are so pro-abortion is because they don't have to have those responsibilities anymore. They ain't got to worry about 18 years of child support anymore. They can go around sleeping with all the women they want because they can just pop that pill out and take care of it on the spot.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is it's encouraging not only the sleep around culture unprotected of women, but men as well.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're encouraging that act. You're encouraging that dude to keep doing and shooting around like a machine gun.
Yeah.
Because he don't care.
Now
there's no personal responsibility.
Now this makes the whole situation, both men and women, now you have to be responsible.
Yeah.
And so let's bring this under control. And hey, the bottom line is do it the way God said do it. You in marriage, this is the only way you do this. And so women and men and everybody have been in the past have been a part of this as the way they've been doing things. And so now this brings that a lot better under control. And people are angry about that because they don't want this type of thing to mess with their sin.
And to be clear about right and wrong, I say, Greg, again, I'm glad you brought it up again. They said, Bob, some of these states are not going to allow abortions, even in the case of rape and incest.
Right, that's true.
I've heard that, and to me, I don't think that's right. To go that far, at least to have it legislated in a law, I don't think that's right. But you know, at the end of the day, I mean, that's kind of wild, and you know. But I'll put it this way: when it comes to the majority of rapes, and again, less than 4% fall in that category.
Yeah.
So the majority.
It's not like there's a whole bunch of women out there that are just being raped.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but I want to be clear what we're saying. We're talking about rape and incest and health reason.
Health reason.
It's not just about the rape issue. That's a whole other thing. But when it comes to producing a pregnancy, there's less than 4% of the abortions that happen. So what I'm saying is not that that's not important, but it's not the majority of the issue. And people are trying to make a small portion of it the entire thing.
They're making a mountain out of a molehill. It's not that way.
And it's not that it's insignificant, but it's not the whole issue.
It's not the whole issue. And I tell you what, well, we're going to get ready to get on out of here, Josh and Greg and GKP. I saw him in here just a few seconds ago, and all you other people that were listening in, whether you're listening by YouTube or Spreaker or whatever the case you're listening to us, and however you're watching us, we appreciate all your comments and appreciate the phone calls today. And but folks, listen, have a wonderful day today, a good weekend, the rest of your weekend that you have, and enjoy your Sunday tomorrow as well. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again next time for another edition of Talk Back Live with Bob and Josh. Have a wonderful evening, everyone. Be blessed.
And NBC's Maura Barrett, who's with the crowds who have gathered outside the Supreme Court, and I know you're hearing it from both sides, Maura.
Yeah, Lester, the way that you just contextualize it is completely accurate. It's a very mixed bag here on the ground, and the crowd has just quadrupled, if not more, since the decision came down just after 10 a.m. I'm still right in the middle of it, just outside in front of the Supreme Court. And what I have noticed, while we've seen a mix of opinions, it is a plurality of young people. And I want to bring in Nina. She traveled in from Pennsylvania, and she was one of the people that was celebrating the decision being overturned. And so, Nina, I want to ask you, what drove you to come out here today? What are you looking for? And tell me a little bit about how you're feeling now that we saw the decision come down.
Well, as you can see, I'm very excited. I drove down here for Students for Life. We have a bunch of collectives and leadership programs focused on making sure women have the necessary resources that they need throughout their pregnancy. And I'm excited, but we all, as if you can see the celebration, but we all know this is not where the work ends. This is where it begins, because from anyone you can ask, this is what we'll be working for the rest of our lives, to make abortion illegal, unthinkable, and unnecessary.
And our NBC polling has shown that 60% of women think, or 60% of Americans think that abortion should be legal in some capacity. 30% are on the other side of it. What do you make that your group is kind of in the minority on this? And what do you want to say to other people who don't share the same opinions as you?
I mean, there's a lot to, obviously, there's a lot of nuances, a lot of different opinions. But at the end of the day, human rights begin at conception, at the end at natural death, and that's what we're fighting for. So no matter what you believe, we're here to protect the woman and the child.
Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts.
For the best soul food in the Mid-South, it's Shop and Save. 1499 South 3rd, 901-946-4303. Serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And some of the items on their menu consist of catfish, spaghetti, chicken and dressing, turkey wings, meatloaf, fried chicken, cabbage, yams, greens, salmon croquette, and the list goes on. Some of the best soul food you ever taste in the Mid-South, it is Shop and Save. 1499 South 3rd. Call them again at 901-946-4303. Been in business since 1991. Shop and Save, 1499 South 3rd, 901-946-4303 for some of the best soul food you'll ever taste.